Secretary, for being here. Take it away.
Well, thanks for that lovely introduction, Haley. I see my agent did their job, and I hope everybody doesn't leave for Taco Tuesday before we finish. Don't worry, we'll get to it in about an hour. So thanks again for being here, and thanks to the Simi Valley District for hosting this college week. We're going to talk about going to college, and I'm going to try and take the stress out of the process and have some fun with you guys tonight, but also share a lot of information. I imagine that there's probably some seniors here, class of 24, yay! You're almost to the finish line for the application process. And from there, we're going to wait and hear where we get admitted and then finally get to the decision on where to go. And juniors, class of 25, look alive. It's time to start thinking, where am I going to go to college? Well, hopefully you've been thinking about it for a little bit. And it is a process, as I said earlier. My job tonight is to help you find the perfect college and even maybe some tips on helping pay for it. As Haley introduced me, Gary B., I was with the University of New Mexico for a very, very long time. Actually, it was 50 years ago that I first started at the University of New Mexico. I went there, I graduated, I retired, and now I'm an independent college counselor. So if you do have questions or you can't find this PowerPoint, it is being recorded, so it will be on the district website. You can always email me. I find it's a great resource for families and students. Some of you are probably stressing a little bit, and probably some of you are stressing a lot a bit. Well, tonight, let's see if we can stop that as much as possible. And I always say there's two things that reduce the stress in this process, and that's ask questions, follow directions. I know all students can ask questions. Hopefully, once they get their answer, they'll follow the directions. I did this presentation last night, and as I said, ask questions. One of the mom's hands shot up like a rocket and said, "What are the questions?" I said, "That's a great question." And so we'll talk about what are the questions to ask and even who to ask, because as the old saying is, it's not what you know, but who you know. So I'm going to teach you a lot tonight in the next 45 minutes, and we'll save a few minutes at the end for more questions. But as Haley said, if you've got questions, put them in the Q&A there. We'll answer them as we go along, and certainly at the end if you have more questions. But as you're looking for the perfect college and paying for it, I always say, how much does it cost to go to college? And I think we all agree it costs a lot. Occasionally somebody will say, oh, it costs too much. Well, I know it costs a lot. I wouldn't say too much. If it costs too much, people wouldn't do it. But I think it's also certainly fair value. And we'll talk about what fair value means. So every college has an admissions office. When I was working for the University of New Mexico, I was an admission counselor. I didn't work for the Office of Rejection. My job was to help families and students get admitted to college. So one of the first steps is to connect with the admission counselor. Some of you may have gone to the Simi Valley College Fair. There's another college fair in Ventura, and that's where I live, next week at St. Bonnie on Thursday night. So feel free to come out. Meet the admission counselors. The admission counselors are your number one point of contact. Those are the people to ask the questions. Specifically, Kevin lives in Moore Park, works for Alabama. So this group is regional. They're out-of-state schools that have local representatives. And here's the website for the regional counselors. Every college has an admissions office with admission counselors. There are 170 out-of-state schools that have admission counselors based in and around California. And that group's called RAC. So when you're talking, go into the regional admissions website. You can find the admission counselor for an out-of-state school, perhaps, and even some international schools. Regional counselors go coast to coast and international. You'll reach out. I mean, I see Arkansas, Iowa, Oregon State, Arizona, Drexel's in Philadelphia, Colorado Springs, Nevada and Reno, Seton Hall, Oklahoma, TCU. These are great schools. A lot of them you've heard of. There may be a school you haven't heard of. Doesn't mean that it's not a great school. It means look into it and connect with the admission counselor. You have questions, ask the admission counselors. They have the answers for their school. So tip number one, who do you ask? The admission counselor. How do you connect with them? Start with the website and email the admission counselor. Tonight, we're going to help you through this amazing process. I had a student say, "Hey, Gary B, you can't spell." I said, "What?" I said, "Oh, no. I'm trying to take the stress out of the process and have some fun." I always say there's two reasons to go to college: growth and learning. The further you go, the more you'll grow. Leaving home and leaving Simi Valley, I always say the weather in Simi Valley is ideal. And that doesn't mean I deal with it. I live in Ventura. Hey, 60s kind of cold, 80s kind of hot. I know what you're thinking. But maybe some of you like snow. And I know how much snow we have each year in Ventura County, -4 inches, no snow. There you go. But if you like weather, 4 seasons, lots of options. We've got great food in this area, but certain places have different foods, different culture, different events. I mean, no matter where you go, if I say San Diego, you might think about SeaWorld or the Padres or the beaches, or Ventura, you're thinking the beaches. Or if I say New Orleans, you might be thinking about Mardi Gras, beignets, jambalaya. So part of going away to college is that growth, the learning, the experience. I have students that have gone all over the world to college and come back home a different, better person. And I say better because they're more worldly, they're more experienced, and they've grown. Part of going to college is make new friends. I've got friends from when I was in high school 50 years ago, and I've got friends that I've made recently. Confidence. We want students to get more confident that they can take care of themselves, and that's the independence. Students, you need to develop that independence. Right now in high school, you think you're independent, but I can guarantee that your parents are helping this process quite a bit, and I want you to take time and thank them as you start that journey towards your independence, having your own house, your own home, away from being with mom and dad. You'll still be part of the family, trust me. Going to college, good thing is, students, you have missed no deadlines. That's great. Application deadlines are coming up soon, but you haven't missed them. And that's why we're doing it this week. Some colleges have a early decision, early action, November 1st deadline, which is next Wednesday. So if you're a senior, you're applying early action, early decision. After this, you'll want to jump on and finish that application, get it submitted. Juniors, I know it seems like you've got a long time before next November to finish that application, but there are some colleges that start taking applications during the summer. And I always say juniors are seniors in June. And so keep that in mind. It's just a few short months away. Sophomores, freshmen, beneficial to be here because the number one thing that colleges look at is what courses did a student study in high school? Your freshman, sophomore, junior year, and of course your senior year. Colleges don't see your senior year grades till you finish. But they are looking at your freshman, sophomore, junior coursework and grades. That's the number one and number two things that colleges look at. When I talk to groups and students going to college, I know many of you are eager and excited. Oh man, I cannot wait. I've already got this college on my list. I hope I get admitted. Well, some of you are nervous about getting admitted. And some of you are a little both. Hey, I'm eager and excited about going to college. I'm nervous about getting admitted and even going to college. And whenever I ask, what are you nervous about? Students say everything. It's going to be that new growth opportunity, right? Leaving home. seeing what the world has in store for you. Some students are worried about the ACT or SAT and often get asked, should I take it? I don't know which one to take. Just this is a little comic. It's certainly not accurate. But during the pandemic, students had trouble accessing the ACT and the SAT. So I tell students, one of the best things you can do is talk to the admission counselors, see what their recommendation is for their college. Many colleges have developed a new policy, and there are ACT and SAT practice tests available online. If I was a junior, I'd take some practice tests and see how I do. Find out those areas that you're strong in and the ones that perhaps you need to strengthen your skills. I certainly tell students it doesn't hurt to take the SAT or ACT, because many schools will either let you report your scores, and some don't even look at your scores. There are over 1,600 colleges today that do not require admission SAT or ACT scores. Over 1,600. And I know that's kind of a wow moment for some folks, that they didn't realize that. They thought, well, I have to take it. Well, you don't have to, but it can be beneficial. Some schools, test required. If you don't take the test, ACT or SAT, and report it, you will not be admitted. It's pretty simple. Ask questions, follow directions. Take the test. I didn't take the test. You didn't follow directions, right? Some schools are test free. That means even if you take the ACT or SAT, the test will not be looked at for admission. It may be looked at for scholarship. So that's a great question. When you're talking to the admission counselor for a school, say, I understand that test free means you won't be looking at the test for admission, but are you test optional for scholarship? If I submit this test score, I have a friend that works for Texas Tech University. A student with good grades gets Texas residential rate of tuition. And if they take the test, they get additional money, scholarship. And without going too far into each school, that's a great question to ask. Hey, test required, test optional, will it be used for admission? Will it be used for scholarship? And one thing that I get asked, what's a good score? Well, on the SAT, the national average is 1,000. It basically has two components: the reading, writing part, reading your reading writings and answering questions, and then a math component. And the maximum is 1,600. So 500 in each section, 1,000, that's a good score, national average. Let's pretend you got an 1190. Is that a good score? Who would you know to ask? Ask the admission counselor for any college. Colleges will say, well, the average here is, and they'll tell you, an average was 1,100. If you got an 1190, you're well above average, and it might be beneficial to submit that score. Say the college B you're looking at, talking with, says, well, the average here is 1,200. Yeah, you're right there. You're right in the average, so it wouldn't hurt. College C, a little bit stronger score, 1,300 was the average. You may not submit that score, but if they said anything over 1,100 gets scholarship, hey, something to consider. All righty. You can go to this website, fairtest.org, and see the schools that are not requiring the SAT or ACT for admission. But that's an overarching website. And what I recommend to students is then go to that school's website and find the admission counselor. Now, not every website's always 100% true, accurate, up to date. Things change. So definitely working with the admissions office, working with the admission counselors. Not one test score has ever been admitted. We work with students. You work hard, you've got your coursework and grades. They're so much more important than tests, but the test, I just like to emphasize, can be an important part. Many students are concerned, worried, fearing the essay. There are colleges that don't require an essay. Some do. Your coursework and your grades are much more important, but student that's on the margin, a good essay can help that admission. And you may be writing an essay for scholarship. Cal State, no essays required. The UCs have what's called personal insight questions, a little different than an essay, but essay-ish. The number one fear for students is getting admitted. Ask questions, follow directions. The number one fear for parents is students are going to get admitted to college and it's going to cost a lot. And I always say it's not a matter of if or when. Seniors, by this time next year, you're halfway through your first semester somewhere. You're going to be a freshman again in just a few short months, but it's not a matter of when. You could take a year off, a gap year, but I tell students straight on to college works for many. You can transfer. Going to Moore Park College or another community college and transferring certainly an option. Some of you may want to stay close to home. Some may go further away. I recommend doing college tours and starting to find out what feels right. And we'll talk about that. There are options all across the U.S. And some are close here in California. Some stay in the West. But look at the number of schools on the other side of the country. That's where the U.S. started. We slowly migrated out to California in 1849, the gold rush. So the rest of the U.S. has a head start on us with universities, but there's plenty here in California and throughout the West. But certainly look around and we'll talk about starting to narrow that down. I moved to California in 1981. And when I moved to California, what I found out was the whole world loves California. Yeah, there's lots of options. There's 4 systems in California, and we'll talk about the 5th option as well. Now, in California, why do people love California? I always say bathing beauties, Bay Area, Beverly Hills, beaches, boys, Beyonce, Bieber. Everything starts with a B because California is beautiful. And here's our beautiful traffic. I think everybody knows what freeway that is. Nope, it's not the 118 at rush hour. It's actually the 405. I think it's called the 405 because I'm usually going 4 or 5 miles an hour for what seems like 4 or 5 hours with 405 of my best friends in front of me, behind me, all around me. And then let's look at the number of high school seniors, the next traffic jam. There are close to 500,000 high school seniors in California this year, next year, the following year. That's a lot of students putting a lot of pressure on the options. So one of the options, let's start to look, is community college. There's 116 community college, low cost, easy entry, and students could go to a community college and transfer. I always get asked, should I go to a community college? It's certainly a personal choice. As I said, easy entry, could be low cost. It could be a springboard. If you are considering going to a community college and transferring, one of my caveats is always start where you want to finish. And by that, I mean connect with the 4-year school that you're thinking of transferring to and get your courses either pre-approved or at least authorized that, hey, if I take this, will it transfer? The great thing is the 116 community colleges in California, the courses are college courses. They will transfer almost seamlessly throughout the U.S. and throughout the world, quite honestly. Some people, students, go to community college for vocational training. It could be culinary, welding, mechanics, plumbing, the trades. So that's another great option. So keep the community college as an option as you think about the process. Many students say, I'm going to go straight to Cal State University. Wonderful. Channel Islands is one of the newest ones. It's right here in Ventura County. Northridge isn't far from where you guys are, but there's lots of options. There's 23. Every Cal State University has the same application. So you're going to do one application and submit it over and over and over if you're applying to more than one. The Cal State University system, the first thing they're going to look at is, did you do the courses that are required to be college ready, what's called the A through G. In my experience working with students in the Simi Valley District for years and years, you guys are college ready to go anywhere. The A through G, have you done math? Have you done English? Have you done social science? Have you done natural science, language other than English? Some art courses. So, and as long as you've got good grades, 2.0 is the minimum GPA to be eligible. But I always say 3.0 will get you dough to help you go. So A through G, 2.0, A, B, and C, you'll be eligible for a number of the Cal State universities. The application, seniors, right now we're in the middle of the application season for Cal State University. Juniors, next October. One of the schools that gets a lot of applications is Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. Nobody ever says Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. We always say Cal Poly SLO. You wake up on December 1st and realize you haven't submitted to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, and you call the admission counselor and say, hey, I'm just a day late, super great, am I a fool, can I go to your school? They'll say, you're too slow, you can't go. Don't miss the deadlines. Find out when the deadline is for application and do it long before the deadline. Don't be a last minute person. I love the Cal State application. It will take a couple of hours to complete, but you can start and stop. You're going to be filling it out. They do not require a personal statement or an essay of any kind. They will not take letters of recommendation from your teachers, your counselors. I know Haley's upset. No, just kidding, Haley. And they won't look at your extracurricular. Doesn't mean don't do extracurricular. Certainly go to the website calstate.edu and you can see what schools have which majors. That could be one of the factors in deciding where to apply. And go visit. If you haven't been on the Channel Islands campus, it's a short drive. Go visit Northridge and start to see the difference just between those two campuses, okay? Another option for California students to stay in our home state is the UCs. Do you see yourself at a UC? In order to go, you must have a 3.0. They're going to look at the same courses that you have taken, the A through G. So good grades and the A through G coursework. The SAT and ACT are not needed for any Cal State or UC for admission or scholarship. Now, the UCs will look at extracurricular activity. That's a little different than the Cal States, right? Extracurricular. And I get the question frequently, what should I be doing? Do something that's fun, relaxing, entertaining. Certainly do your coursework, but have some kind of side hobby interest and any number of things. And I don't want you to be in 10 or 12 clubs. If you're in a couple of clubs, do as much as you can. We like students that are real active in a few clubs rather than a member of a dozen. The UCs will also ask about personal insight questions. There's 8 personal insight questions. Tomorrow, there is a webinar available through Simi Valley again that you'll get to cover the UC application and the personal insight questions. So I'm not going to do too deep a dive on those. Application period is the same. Opens actually October 1st for submission, but August 1st, you can start working on it. So students, if you're a senior, you've got less than a few weeks here to be able to get your Cal State and UC applications submitted. That's the critical part. Let's look at UCLA. I've got friends that either went there, go there, or work there, or all the above. UCLA is very popular for the Simi students because it's somewhat close by. 2 cycles ago, close to 150,000 applications. Out of that, for every 11 students, one was admitted. 1 in 11 students was admitted. And I know you're thinking, I'm the one. Well, I hope you are. But I always say plan B. And that doesn't mean plan UCSB, because there it was 1 in 4 students got admitted. So have some options. Certainly UCLA is a great option. The average GPA, weighted GPA for a student admitted in the fall of 22 was 4.5. That means there's students that above 4.5 that didn't get admitted. And there are some students below 3.8s, 3.9s that could potentially have been admitted, 3.5s. The UCs are going to look at your extracurricular. What activities have you done? And they're going to read those personal insight questions. They want to get to know you beyond the courses, beyond the numbers, right? Again, no ACT, SAT. So UCs, all the same application, and you'll be submitting it before November 30th, okay? Don't wait till the last minute. If you're thinking, well, I'm going to start at a community college and transfer, some community colleges have what's called the transfer agreement guarantee, the tag, and I love the transfer guarantee. Now, UCLA does not have that. UC San Diego doesn't have that, and UC Berkeley doesn't have that. You can certainly transfer to all 9 of the UCs. And when you're doing the tag, hey, I'm going to go to Irvine, I'm going to do 2 years at Moore Park, transfer. Make sure that the major that you're interested in is one that you can tag into. Again, start where you want to finish. If you're going to transfer to a community college, from a community college to a 4-year, check in with that 4-year early on, okay? Let's go over some dates and deadlines for the UCs. The application is open now. It'll open again next August for class of 25. The submission is just a 2-month window. You're going to submit your application. There's no early action, early decision, any of that. Everybody's in the same, and you'll be notified by March something. This could be early March, could be mid-March, even late March, and you have just a few weeks from the time you're notified to commit, to register that, hey, I am going to go, and you'll only be able to pick one, all right? Your schools will send the transcript, and that's when the colleges will see your final grades your senior year. And so if you're struggling or you report courses that you end up not taking, certainly reach out and let the colleges know. Again, so what does every college look at? What courses did you take and what are your grades? The UCs aren't different than anybody else. Your senior year, stay taking as rigorous courses as possible, honors courses, AP courses. If you've done any special projects, I'm working with a student right now that is doing some CAD, some computer-aided design, and has a patent, phenomenal. You may not have a patent, doesn't mean he'll be admitted to a UC, may not even apply, but that's kind of a special talent, right? And so certainly you'll have an opportunity at many colleges to say, hey, this is my talent, this is what I'm good at, this is my extracurricular, what I've done. In California, besides the public, 116 community colleges, the 23 Cal States, the 9 UCs, we have 75 private or independent schools. Again, not far from us, we've got Cal Lutheran. It's within almost a short drive. Pepperdine's not far. There's Westmont up in the Montecito area. So certainly there's some schools you can check out and get a feel. Is this what I'm looking for? USC is not far from Simi. When you're on a college campus, make sure you've registered for the tour ahead of time, and that way they'll be able to stay in touch with you and you'll get in touch with the admission counselor. Many of these private schools use what's called the Common App. Students, you can go to this website, you can set up an account and see there's over 1,000 colleges today that use the Common App for your application. I also say you can go to this other website, Access Companion, axscompanion.org, and that's a tutorial to help you fill out the Common App. So what's the Common App? Basically, your name, your school, your parents' information is going to be the same no matter where you're going to college. And so if you're applying to USC, Notre Dame, Pepperdine, they're all going to get that information. But then some schools have some more questions. So certainly set up a Common App account and start looking at some schools that way. In California, we've got over 100 community colleges and over 100 four-year schools and 500,000 high school seniors, plus the students that are transferring from community college to our 4 years. So I always say beyond California, out of state could be great. Don't hesitate, don't wait. But the minute I say out of state, people start saying, oh, Gary B., it costs a lot of dough to go. No, I'll tell you what, that it may even cost less to go out of state than stay. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. Private schools don't charge an out-of-state tuition. Let's say I came from New Mexico and wanted to go to Cal Lutheran. Cal Lutheran private school, you right there in Simi Valley and me coming from New Mexico would have paid the same tuition rate. There are schools out of state that have a special program called the Western Undergraduate Exchange, WUI. So the Western Undergraduate Exchange allows students from California to go to the neighboring states. Remember that map a little earlier where there weren't a lot of colleges in the West? So California has a lot of students. Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, New Mexico need more students. They're going to offer a discount to California students in the way of tuition reduction. And so tuition reduction is a way for California students to go to a public school in the West and pay reduced tuition. You have to qualify. In each school, and there's 86 four-year schools that will offer that program. So you're a resident in California. You leave to go to a public school anywhere, you're a non-resident. But there are 86 schools that have this special WUI tuition. The WUI tuition is a discounted tuition for California students that qualify. Let's just pretend you lived in a state, Arizona, New Mexico, even California. The resident tuition is $8,000. Well, that's what you would get if you were going to a Cal State. You wouldn't be on the WUI. Let's say you're going to Arizona or New Mexico to a public school. The non-resident tuition runs about $25,000 or so a year. On the WUI tuition, you would save almost half your tuition each year. Each school will tell you what it takes to qualify. Usually a good GPA on those A through G courses. 3.0 will get you a whole lot of dough to go. Did you know? Then you can stack your need-based financial aid as well as other merit scholarship, okay? There were over 17,000 students that left California last year on this. That's just the freshmen. Then it's a 4-year program, so sophomores got it. Additionally, guess what? Then the juniors got it, and then the seniors. So actually, that's 17,000, close to 80,000 students are going to college outside of California getting that special tuition. Let's think about it. How do I get the WUI tuition? You want to know how to get the dough? Get admitted to that out-of-state college. Start working with the admission counselor. Ask them what the qualifications are. Some even have a separate application. You can go to this website, witchy.edu/WUI, or Google search Western Undergraduate Exchange, and it'll pop right up. And you'll see what schools have that. Once you find a school that has that, what you want to do is connect with the admission counselor. Go to that school's website. Okay, again, this is an overarching website that tells you what schools. It doesn't have the nitty-gritty, the details. It'll have some. One school you could be eligible for admission, another school you'd be competitive. Remember the UCs, 3.0 was the minimum GPA to be eligible. Students in Simi Valley with a 3.0 will pay the resident rate in New Mexico. 3.0, a whole lot of dough. Entiendo? So keep that in mind, ask questions, follow directions. Gary B., there are over 4,000 colleges. How do I start to narrow it down? Well, let's do the old Google search. No, that doesn't work. But think about it. Where do you want to live? What would it be like? Simi Valley is kind of a suburban area. Is that what you want to stay in? There's options. Maybe you want a bigger city, something. How do you like spending your free time? If you like skiing, hey, you're going to have to leave Simi sometime to get that. Or you're an outdoorsy person, or you want even more metro. There's colleges. I mean, I couldn't live in downtown LA. I live out in Ventura, not quite like that, but hey, it's a lot different than where I was in La Puente yesterday. That was the heart of the San Gabriel Valley. So think about it. What are you looking for? And students, I don't want you to think about a college location. Think about that city, that area. What would it be like? Okay. And think about the size. Most of you are at a fairly large public school. Soka University in Mission Viejo has 450 total students. That means 100 freshmen. 100 freshmen at Soka? Maybe that's what you're looking for. You would know everybody in your class by the time you graduate. Medium schools, they range from 5 to 10,000. Large is that 15, 20, 25. And there are schools with 30, 40, 50,000. The largest school in America starts with an A, ends with an A, Arizona State University. Quite honestly, Arizona State has classes bigger than Soka University. And it's located in a pretty big capital, Phoenix, Arizona. So options. Another thing, students, think about the cost. I know you're thinking, yeah, I know it costs a lot, but don't think just about the tuition. Will I be able to graduate in 4 years? Graduating in 4 years is super important. That's what your goal is, right? Out the door in 4, you score. And I always say you're either in or you're out. Did you get in? That's a win. Out, don't pout, move on, right? So location, size, cost, I got admitted and it felt right. Fit. Fit is academic. Does that college have what you're looking to study? Does it have the majors? Does it have the clubs, the fun, the organizations? And can I afford it? So let's talk about the financial fit. I always say if you don't have a financial fit, you will have a financial fit. So one of the great questions is don't ask what's the tuition and fees. I want you to practice asking what's the COA, how much will I really pay? Tuition's part of the cost of attendance, but there's also housing and dining. You've got the indirect costs, books and supplies, transportation, Jamba Juice, Starbucks, pizza, popcorn, all that fun. Tuition, you're going to pay the college for attending your courses. Private schools, no in-state, out-of-state. Public schools in California, they're still expensive, but maybe you can get about that same rate by staying at a good neighbor, WUI school. Housing and dining. You have to have a place to live. You're going to live on campus. It's not going to be quite like living at home. The food's pretty good and a different environment than what you're used to. So that's growth. You have to buy your own books. And I always say, anybody heard of ebooks? That means expensive. Books are pretty expensive today, even the online ones. You got to get to college. Even if you're going to college, you may have to pay for parking locally, right? And then all that fun. So these are the costs, the COA. Now let's add that all up and look. If you were to go to a Cal State University and live on campus, it would be about $25,000 for 1 year. So multiply that times 4, $100,000. UC's a little bit more, about 35,000, so 140. Private schools are the same in-state or out-of-state. Out-of-state public schools are about lateral in cost to a UC before the WUI tuition. With the WUI tuition, now your out-of-state public schools are almost lateral to a Cal State. So keep that in mind. Ask, what's the COA? How much will I really pay? And I know what you're thinking. OMG. Oh my Gary B, that's crazy. That's so much dough. I don't think I can afford to go. Hey, I'm thinking Ivy League. Isn't that expensive? Oh, Dad's praying the money's going to fall from the sky. It won't. But I can summarize financial aid in 4 words. Financial aid is either need-based merit, or guess what? Both. Everybody that's watching tonight, everybody that I've ever met going to college needs money to help pay for it. And merit in a single word is talent. You have talent. Tell colleges what you're good at. Hey, I was good at math, so I got to go to college on a math scholarship. I got an economics degree. I ran a business, worked in the admissions field. My talent was being able to talk with people about paying for college. Now, I wish I was a better public speaker, would help me with this job, right? Scholarship. Check in with the admission counselor and say, hey, this is what I'm good at. What scholarships available? Colleges, the institution has money, but so do departments, the engineering, the business, the fine arts, the music. So each department has money. Talk to your admission counselor. Colleges are doing research, so there's grant money to help students do research. Loans, just be careful and know what you're getting into. And I always talk about the great JOB program. That means jump out of bed and get to work. Students, the harder you work in high school, the more you're going to be able to get in scholarship. Good grades, A's and B's is dough to help you go. Colleges have money. Corporations, reach out to where your parents work, find out. And the government money is through what's called the FAFSA, a free application for federal, state, and institutional aid. Seniors, you can't do the FAFSA quite yet. It's going to be available in December. And so we're not going to spend a lot of time on the FAFSA. We're working on getting your applications out the door, right? But seniors, class of 24, make sure you file as quickly as possible in December for need-based aid. I implore everybody to apply for need-based aid. You'll fill out the form. The government will come back with an index of your ability to pay for college, and then colleges will get that number, the ones you've applied to, and say, here's our COA, here's how much you can afford, and we will meet you with some financial aid through grants. Those are different than the research grants, loans, and work study. Work study money, the government pays colleges to hire students. So it's actually your tax money being put to work as pay. Get all your applications done and get the FAFSA done. I usually say before Thanksgiving, apply before pie, you'll be a happy guy, here's why. Thanksgiving should be that, whew, everything's done time. You don't want to sit down for pumpkin pie and get Cool Whipped. Hey, when's this going to get done? No, have it all done, okay? Now, you won't be able to do the FAFSA if you're a senior till December, but get all those applications done. Scholarship. Lots of scholarships are available. Seniors, juniors, sophomore, freshmen, all of you can and should be working on getting scholarship. There are junior only and sophomore only scholarships. Seniors, you've missed those, but start working and looking. Hey, there's lots of websites. There's even local websites. In Ventura County, I think most of us live in Ventura County. Go to vccf.org. It's the local community foundation, and look for the local scholarships from Ventura County Community Foundation. Hey, insider tip, there you are. Ask for some dough, there you go. Don't pay anybody. Go talk to Haley if you're at Santa Susana. She would be happy to help you find some scholarships. Don't pay, okay? You've got counselors there that will help. If you're thinking, hey, I want to join the military, go to college. You come out as an officer if you've done the ROTC program. So a lot of your college is paid for. And guess what? You have a lifetime benefits. We're going to wrap this up and finish with some questions. Tour college campuses. You can do online tours, virtual visits today. That's a great way to get to know a school, meet an admission counselor. I implore every student, every parent to work on scholarship. If you do one scholarship application a week from now till you go to college, that's a lot, and we'll find some. There are college fairs and college nights, virtual as well as in person. I said next Thursday at St. Bonaventure in Ventura, there's another college fair. start connecting with the admission counselors. Don't miss deadlines. Don't use your high school email when you're applying to college. Have a separate, a Gmail or another account, because when you go to college, your high school email goes away. And I say use a professional. I did get an email from partyboy@gmail.com. And I know what you're thinking. What party? Democrat, Republican, Green? And no, that's not what any of us thought, right? Okay. Don't miss deadlines. When you're sending an email, pay attention to your grammar. Students, take the time to thank your parents, your counselors, your teachers. They've helped get you to where you are today. Take advantage of the opportunity to meet with your admission counselor, and always remember, ask questions, follow directions. If you'd like a copy of this presentation, the PowerPoint, it's certainly available, but we're going to stop the share. And Haley, I'll take any questions that maybe have come up throughout the presentation. It looks like we've got a few people hanging around. Certainly, a lot of information fast, wasn't it?
It was basically what we all do in the college and career centers in a nutshell. So
and I'm a nut, so there you are. We got it in a nutshell.
Thank you so much for all that information. One of the questions that stood out to me that I did want to ask aloud was because I feel like this is a really good question for you. What is the value of having a degree from a good college, as companies don't necessarily care where you graduated from when hiring, except for your first job?
Yeah, and so define good college. Any college that you go to and graduate, I always say the thing that I learned in college was how to think. The world is going to change. If I said, how many students watching today are interested in computer science? Probably some, if not many. You know how many students did computer science when I went to college? -6. It didn't exist. So the world's going to change. I'm a fan of driverless cars. That's a new technology. Now, not everybody wants that, but hey, it's going to happen. I can guarantee one thing, the change. And if you learn to think, as the world changes, you're able to keep up. And you're right, colleges really, now, going to college, you may make a friend that ends up running a business and making that connection. So I just say, start making friends when you're in college as much as you can. You don't know where it's going to go. And if you leave California, you're going to expand your horizons quite a bit. So I think, generally speaking, of a college, if you've earned a degree, you went to a good college. There's no such, some do more research than others. If you want to be a researcher, not every college is doing research. So find that niche. Okay.
Absolutely. Great answer.
Yeah.
The next question I have is early decision something you encourage students to do?
I'm going to take off the Gary B hat and say, no, but, and I'm not opposed to it. If you visited that school and you 100% certain, so folks, let's just talk what early decision, some may not even know. Early decision means that you're applying to a college while you're a senior in high school, and if you get admitted, you're committed. You're going to tell every other school, I'm pulling my application, I'm already admitted, and I'm going here before you actually get your financial aid package. And for some of you here tonight, money's not an issue. I was not that kid. I got paid to go to college. Fortunately, I got the math scholarship and financial aid, need-based. And so, yeah, I put myself through college with other people's money. That's typically not happening today when colleges cost $100,000. That's a Cal State. And I'm not picking on USC, but it's going to be $350,000 for 4 years if it's not, so just think, if you got that kind of money and that's the school and you got admitted, you can do early action, which gives you a little flexibility. You get your decision. Some colleges do rolling decision, so you'll get your answer. I have students that have been admitted to New Mexico, Arizona, Northern Arizona. They've already found out. And they're not committed. They have until May 1st. And that's great. I like that option. I'm not opposed to early decision if you know 110%, if there is such a thing, that I'm going to get admitted and go. Colleges benefit by the early decision because they fill their class. If you're enrolling 5,000 students and you admit 3,000 during the early decision, you've got 60% of your class already committed. Now you'll probably admit another 8,000 to fill up that last 2,000.
Yeah, we definitely across campuses, we support early action. We want you to really think about that early decision. Yeah.
Yeah, students and parents, you're signing a contract going in when you apply early decision. So you're contracted. There are ways to wiggle out. Don't plan on it. It's not a good thing, okay, to wiggle out.
All right,
Go ahead. I see some more questions popping up, and we've got
we have a few more, and we have about 7 more minutes, so we'll hustle through.
I'll talk fast.
Having money in a 529 account, does that reduce the chance of getting scholarships from need-based like FAFSA or other scholarships?
It can affect your need-based financial aid, but a 529 plan's not a bad thing at all. So yeah, talk to financial aid office at your college that you're going to. You'll report your 529 plan. And I still do the FAFSA by all means. That's the number one thing. Do the FAFSA. Get the FAFSA submitted. The sooner the better. The sooner the better.
What can high school freshmen do as a head start besides getting good grades and doing extracurricular activities to get into a good college?
Those are the two things right there. The more rigorous coursework that you take. So, I mean, start with your Algebra 1 if you're in 9th grade, or if you did that in 8th grade, do geometry and get your plan and start visiting colleges. Hey, this might seem bizarre, but I did my first college visit when I was 11 years old. So start seeing some, I know, crazy, right?
Yeah.
I've got the picture to prove it. I'm not going to pull it out and show you guys. Maybe I will. No. Yeah, but definitely start visiting some colleges. You know, if you're taking a summer vacation or you're going to a community, go check out what that college, start meeting, go to college fairs and keep going to these type of events. That's certainly, and start looking for scholarship. There are freshmen only. I've seen scholarship for 6th, 7th, 8th graders. Guess what? Freshmen, you missed those. Or maybe you didn't, maybe you got them. I hope. So yeah. Coursework, grades, clubs, leadership activities, those are great because many colleges want the next leader, right?
Exactly. And speaking of which, I know all the college and career counselors at each of the high schools, we do share scholarships and all of that information. So keep an eye out from the college and career counselor at your campus. Okay, a couple more. I feel the extra activities like sports are not very much considered to get into colleges. Like GPA. What is your thought on that?
1 or 2% of students are athletes in college. So out of 100 students today, 1 or 2 of you may be a recruited athlete. And if you're a recruited athlete, you're typically not getting a full ride. Certainly it's fun to play sports. I played sports. I would have been a small football player if I'd went to college. So playing sports is great. Colleges are not looking for athletes. They're looking for mathletes. I say that all day, every day. So an A in Calc AB is going to be a lot better than, playing off the bench soccer or basketball. And even if you're the superstar in basketball, basketball and football are the only 2 sports that are full ride for most athletes. So I'm not anti-sports. I'm pro sports. They're fun. But if you don't have the good grades, you won't be admitted. And the college coursework, that A through G. So keep them coming.
I noted one thing I did want to point out. I know you said that they can get a link to this presentation. Is that something you'll share with me and then we can share it out with people?
They can email me. Certainly I'll send it to you. I'll send you the PDF.
Okay, great.
You guys are going to have it on the district website.
Right.
I'll even send you a handout that people can have as well, a PDF that talks all these steps. What's the COA? I don't remember.
Thank you. Is there a preset admission quota or limit set for each school district in California by the UC system so students from all school districts can have a chance?
It's my understanding, Haley, that the top 9% of every class at every high school is admissible to a UC. So you might get admitted to Santa Cruz or Merced. You may not get admitted to the UC LA or Irvine. So I'm kind of, this would be a question to ask the UCs specifically. I know enough about the UCs to be dangerous. And Haley probably knows more about she works directly with the UC. UC is going to be here tomorrow night. Come back and ask them that question.
I was just gonna say that's a really good question to save for tomorrow night, and that's my little plug to come back tomorrow. Tomorrow night, we're going over the UC application, and then on Thursday night, we're going over the Cal State application. So definitely those more specific systems, you should definitely ask those questions because they'll be able to give a little bit more information. But thank you, Gary, for, attempting. Some of these are challenging, but oh dear, a few more just came in. So I'll try. We have a couple more minutes, so I'll try to get to as many as I can. I'm also going to respond to a couple in the chat.
Sure.
Let's see. Oh, this is a good question because it happens all the time. Even with a high GPA, students are getting rejected. Why? Like above a 4.5.
Right. Extracurriculars, the personal insight questions with the UCs, the essays. There are hundreds of high schools. So guess what? There's hundreds of valedictorians. So it's not just good grades. Every college wants to know, how are you going to contribute to the campus? Right? You're joining a new family when you go to college. How are you going to contribute? And that's one of the questions. And I mean, let's be honest, UCLA, 150,000 applications. Some schools will not get that many, but they'll want to know, why do you want to come here? I have a student that is applying to Chapman, and he said, because you're close to Disney. I wouldn't let him say that. They know they're close to Disney. He might say, because I'm a theater major and I see an opportunity because of your location. So, think about why you want to go to that school. And to be an outstanding student, you got to stand out. There you are. We've got time for one more, I bet.
Okay. Like I said, I'm responding to some of these, but would a part-time job where it works with children, education, tutoring, tutoring be a good extracurricular activity to mention within applications?
Again, let's be major specific. If you're going to go into the education field, absolutely. Or anything in that social area. But yeah, working with people, any outside job, certainly don't work if it's going to be to the detriment of your grades. I'll say that. If you're working full time because you've got to work full time to help your family, I can certainly appreciate that, and colleges will too, and there'll be some grace. But at the same time, think about your grades. Think about your coursework. I always said, you've got a job. It's called high school. So work at your job. Every A and every B is dough to help you go. 3.0, there's dough, got a 4, getting more. Don't be a fool, stay in school, it's cool. All day, every day, Gary B, remember me. Haley, did we have fun tonight?
We did, and that's a great way to end it, Gary. I appreciate that.
All right. Well, I hope I helped the families. And again, if you want to reach out to me, garyb@collegecliff.org. You've got my email. Stay in touch. All righty.
Thank you. Thank you,
Good
Gary.
luck, seniors.
Good night, everyone. See you tomorrow night at the UC application webinar.
Bye.
Bye.